what's the most common question that pops up on your screen?
गोल्ड और ऊपर कितना जाएगा, सिल्वर और ऊपर कितना जाएगा. It's not about how big your bucket is. It's about how many holes you have in your bucket. Spending is not the problem. Spending without planning is the problem. चल इसके बाद तुम जियोगे, किसने बोला है तुमको?
There's a lot here also in the office with my colleagues. Flexing their portfolios here is also something that goes around a lot.
Nice. I like that.
Hello and welcome to today's special episode. Today's episode is not just special because we are talking about budget, number, and finance, but because we're talking to someone who has lived, led, and shaped these conversations inside out. Here we have amongst us Miss Rachana Ranade. What makes her voice stand out in today's environment is her ability to simplify complex financial ideas and connect them to our everyday life. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
Pleasure is mine.
So let's dive deep in. My first question is that in today's times, youngsters are constantly torn between playing it safe or going all out in. Fixed deposits can seem boring, and social media is constantly telling us new investment ideas. So, if someone, let's say, has a lump sum of 10 lakh rupees, what's your advice? How and where should that investment money go?
All right, so I feel 10 lakhs का investment के बारे में जो आप बात कर रहे हो, it should be a mix of everything, right? So like you said, the youth is torn between social media and FD. Even though they like social media recommendations, they can't go all in there. If they feel FD is extremely boring, they can't just say, I'm going to totally ignore that. So it's all about balancing it nicely, right? So I always say that you should have some amount put up in equity, either directly or indirectly. Directly will be directly investment in shares. Indirectly will be through mutual funds. So that will be one chunk of the portfolio. One chunk could be in debt. It could be something like bonds, something like fixed deposits. I just cannot miss out on commodities right now, be it gold or silver as well. So a chunk of your portfolio, typically 10% should be in commodities, gold and silver. And I always say that whenever you are balancing this out, there is no thumb rule that 10% has to be in equity, 20% in debt, and this, that. You have to first understand your risk profile. And based on your risk, you should be dividing this entire portfolio into equity and debt and some in commodities.
This percentage wise is also one of my questions, but I will dive into it a little later. What's your take on SIPs? In such a volatile time, is SIP still the best way to invest?
101%.
Or a safer way to invest?
I mean, no second thoughts on that. I feel that SIPs are meant for volatile times. So if you feel that the markets are extremely steady, they are going up every month by 1%, come what may, then I mean, I know the trajectory, right? If I know that every single month it is going to go up by 1%, I might as well invest the entire money lump sum right now. But the problem is that no one knows what is going to happen after 1 month, what is going to happen after 2 months. So
Exactly.
whenever volatility kicks in, I think that is when you should be doing SIPs. I mean, I have few friends who do monthly SIPs. What I do is weekly SIP. So weekly
Wow.
SIP is something which gives me more benefit about averaging out my buying. And it's simple, right? So if I want to do, let's say, an SIP of 2000 rupees monthly, instead of that, I go with 500 rupees weekly. So ultimately amount is same, but I get much more averaging is what I feel. So SIPs is a must. It's not an option according to me.
I will take that as a note. There's always a dilemma that youngsters are caught up in. Let's say, should I enjoy this time and go on more vacations, or is it the time to aggressively invest for my future? So, realistically speaking, how much should one invest in versus how much should one spend in their 20s and 30s? And now this is percentage wise.
So typically we call this as a 50-30-20 rule, right? So
Okay.
whatever you earn, 50% go for your essentials, which is roti, kapda, makan, internet, everything. That is a part of your essentials. 30% can go to your luxuries because अब नहीं तो कब करेंगे ना मजा. So for example, if you are seeing Instagram reels, if you are seeing your friend go to a very nice vacation, you can't say that I'll go to that place when I turn 50 or when I turn 60 and when I've attained financial freedom.
Correct.
Uh, that movie, right, where Katrina Kaif says that 40 के बाद तुम जियोगे, किसने बोला है तुमको? यू
Hmm.
नेवर नो, राइट, वेदर वी आर गोइंग टू लिव दैट लॉन्ग और नॉट. So better that we enjoy the day, we enjoy the moment that we are in. But if we do that in a disciplined fashion, then और क्या चाहिए? So 30% can go towards your luxury spending, towards your bucket lists, that is what we call, and 20% should be your saving. That is bare minimum you must save and invest. So that's your percentage split: 50% for your needs, 30% for your luxuries, and 20% for minimum in investments.
So I think hearing you, listening to you, आजकल की generation is more aware about how their finances should be. But at the same time, because there are so many distractions around us, social media is guiding us a certain way. तो थोड़ा सा difficult हो जाता है. There is, buy now, pay later options available. There are different lifestyle choices that people opt for. So what's in your advice? What's that one big mistake that we are making in our life that we should avoid for financial stability?
सो ये जैसे आपने बीएनपीएल बोला, बीएनपीएल है, ईएमआई है. ईएमआई से इन अ फन मैनर इट्स लाइक एन्जॉय मनी इंस्टेंटली.
Hmm.
So that that's what people do with those EMIs, and splurge on some things which they should ideally be abstaining from. But I'll tell you, I keep on meeting a lot of my subscribers, and one of the youngsters, I think he was 23, 24, whatever, and he told me this very nice thing that, ma'am, I've seen few of my friends who flex their iPhones, but I flex my portfolio. So there is this breed who is actually now becoming a little bit popular, and more finance influencers who can actually guide this thought process. I think there will be people who will also guide social media in a different way. Not all will be like, guiding, flexing only portfolio. Again, it's a mix, right? You buy your iPhone, no second thoughts on that, but do it properly. Don't just splurge your entire salary on one iPhone. You should save, you should set aside money, and slowly steadily build up that fund, and then buy the iPhone. So the mistake that I would want people to avoid is unnecessary spending without planning. Spending is not the problem, spending without planning is the problem.
I hear this a lot here also in the office with my colleagues. Flexing their portfolios here is also something that goes around a lot.
Nice, nice, I like that.
So, moving on to the next question, in your opinion, let's talk about financial freedom. Do you think it's more about how much you earn, or is financial freedom about how well I'm managing that money? I
oh
know
i
your answer, but I would still hear it from you.
I would like to give you an analogy for that. It's not about how big your bucket is. Okay, it's about how many holes you have in your bucket. So if you have more holes in your bucket, whatever you're going to earn, whatever water you're going to ideally store in that, it's just going to find its own ways to go out, right?
Correct.
So I feel that is what you should understand. Like we always say, right, even a small hole in the ship can sink the entire ship. So you have to be extremely careful about where is your money getting drained out. Is that really required or not? So managing without any second doubt is extremely important. I've seen my few of my friends who get, like, let's say a 15% salary hike, and their lifestyle goes up by 30%. So what's the use, right? That's
Right.
what I'm trying to tell you. The size of the bucket increases by 15%, but 30% extra holes in your bucket, and your entire savings is going to be messed up. So managing money is extremely important.
Correct. So you have such a massive following on all your social media platforms. I'm sure that your DMs are constantly flooded with questions and doubts, and I'm sure a lot of youngsters are confused despite the fact that you make such good videos. There is a slight confusion that remains in people's mind as to, how they can invest their money, or what's the most common question that pops up on your screen.
Oh, most common question these days, if you ask me, it's about gold and silver. Is this the right time to invest or not?
Right.
I mean, for that, I always say that, it's currently in it's in such a maddening frenzy right now. No one knows. I mean, I've talked to so many investors who have been investing for last like 30 years, 40 years. I'll be honest, 9 out of 10 people had not guessed this rally. Everyone was of the opinion कि हाँ भाई 10-20% बढ़ेगा, 25%
Right.
बहुत हो गया तो भी. I mean, gold, look at that. I mean, this month itself, it has gone up. And even if I'm talking about silver, it's not like growing by 500 rupees every day, 1,000 rupees every day. 5 percentage increase is what we are seeing in silver. So I think the most common question that I'm getting these days in my DMs is, गोल्ड और ऊपर कितना जाएगा, सिल्वर और ऊपर कितना जाएगा? Honest answer, no one knows, including me. Even I don't know the exact number to which it will go. Best way, like I told you some time ago, is doing SIPs. So you can also do SIPs in gold, in silver as well. If you feel bullish about those commodities, that's the best way to invest.
So now with budget just around the corner, let's switch this segment up a little and talk about budget, and not just about numbers, budget and how it will shape our lives or just daily lives of millions of people across the globe. So my first question is, with the rising costs across so many essential items that we consume every day, tax relief is something that most people wait for. If you could bring if you could make one thing completely tax free, what would that be?
For me, I think I would go ahead with long-term capital gains, which was tax-free up until few years ago. Then it got taxed at 10%. In the previous budget, it got hiked up to 12.5%. I believe that patience is something which is to be rewarded and not punished. So if a person is patiently investing in the market, that should be rewarded with a 0% tax capital gain tax. So I really wish if long-term capital gain goes tax-free.
And that's a beautiful line. I'm going to use it here with my boss.
Sure, sure, why not?
So, you talked about long-term capital gains. What hurts you in particular more in real life? Is it higher capital gain tax or income tax? I know your answer, but still, it's in comparison with income tax, it might be a different answer now.
Yeah, I mean, for people like me who are into higher tax brackets, I'll obviously be. I mean, I'll feel the pain when I'm paying like 30% plus taxes, and I would love to pay like a slightly lower tax. At, of course, capital gain tax may it be 12.5% or 20% for short term, versus something like 30% plus surcharge and this that if that goes to a crazy high level. So yes, my answer would be capital gains. But on one side, it's I mean, being a human, of course, I understand that wherever I pay my advance tax, तो एक सेकंड के लिए ऐसा लगता है भाई कितना कितना टैक्स दे रहे हैं, खुद के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, सरकार के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, ऐसे एक सेकंड के लिए लगता है, हर एक इंसान को लगेगा शायद. But I believe that everyone should always feel that whenever I'm paying tax, whenever anyone is paying tax, it's for the greater interest of the nation. If all people start saying this कि भाई टैक्स क्यों भरना है, उससे अच्छा है XYZ कंट्री में जाएंगे, वहाँ पे टैक्स फ्री है, तो अपना देश कैसे आगे बढ़ेगा? सो आई फील दैट एवरीवन शुड आल्सो, दैट वन स्प्लिट सेकंड इज ओके, बट आई थिंक व्हेनेवर यू आर पेइंग टैक्स यू शुड फील प्राउड दैट यू आर contributing towards the nation's success. So income tax, I mean, happy to pay more and more. I think everyone should focus on earning more rather than how to save more tax.
Correct. So, now besides income tax and long-term capital gain tax, budget day, whenever it's around the corner, we have, more and more our hopes keep increasing as to where the reductions will take place. What's that one budget benefit that you secretly hope for this year?
I think the same one, right? A long-term capital. I would always hope for that, because I mean, many of you all who have been following on me on social media, I'm not an intraday trader category of person. I have invested in stocks starting 2006. So you can imagine I have stocks at crazy levels no one can even think of. I have few stocks right from their IPO levels in three-digit numbers, which are currently trading at five digits. So I always secretly and openly hope for long-term capital gain tax going down to zero.
So influencers shape how the world thinks. A lot of people take notes from what you say. A lot of people get inspired by what you say. तो अगर ऐसी कोई एक चीज है जो आप budget से related pitch करो, an idea that you think that perhaps the world should incorporate, the country should incorporate, something that is a budget idea that you as an influencer would pitch. Let's say if you were the finance minister, what change would you bring?
Recently, I'd read a report which said that barely 8% of the influencers actually earn decent enough money from social media. That's a very less number, right? 8% is nothing. So I believe that what government could essentially do is, if they want to actually ensure that a specific sector boosts, they allocate certain funds for that sector, right? So similarly, I believe that a fund can be created for the benefit of digital influencers, and what I think how they should look at digital influencers is that they should ensure that whatever are the schemes of the government, they should be communicated via the influencers, and they should pay the influencers for that.
Right.
For example, if there's a very nice central government scheme and if they want to promote it via television, don't they spend money in creating the ad? Don't they spend money in giving that ad rights to someone to air it on television? Government does spend on that, right? And
Hmm.
I'm sure government does totally agree to the fact that digital influencers are also a very much integral part of the media these days. So why not
Absolutely.
pay the influencers and help them uh, earn money, number one, and also take them as a medium of communication to educate masses on what are the different schemes of the government, because I believe that there'll be a lot of schemes which common people don't even know about, and we believe that our biggest strength is communication. So जैसे हम last mile delivery बोलते हैं, वैसे last mile communicators हम है, is what I believe. So if government feels that they would want to you know uh, enlighten people, or they would want people to know about their schemes, I think they should have a fund for creators, and they should pay some amount to creators for every reel, for every video, for every post they put up. I think that can be one thing that they can bring in the budget.
Absolutely. I think the world will be more aware if this is done and
Absolutely.
implemented. Yes. Because a lot of people look up to you and many influencers across the country. So I think this will bring in a lot of change if at all it ever happens.
True.
But yes, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank
It
you so
was
much.
wonderful. I have taken in a lot of notes and a lot of wisdom from you, and I definitely will incorporate it in my life as well. Thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.